Hello and welcome to my channel, your go-to source for the latest in WWE 24. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for all the updates. Let's dive right in.
Roman Reigns walked out of WrestleMania 42 with the World Heavyweight Championship after defeating CM Punk in the main event of Night 2. The OTC has reacted to two more Samoan champions, Carlos Ulberg and Jay Opataya. Reigns holds the World Heavyweight title in WWE. Carlos is the current UFC Light Heavyweight Champion, and Jay is the Zuffa Boxing Cruiserweight Champion. On Instagram, TKO uploaded a video highlighting the three Samoans' dominance in their respective industries. The OTC reacted to the post in the comments section, asking everyone to acknowledge them with a simple emoji. Check out the screen grab of Roman Reigns' comment below. Reigns reunited the bloodline with the USOs on RAW, but was challenged by Jacob Fatu for a World Heavyweight title match at Backlash. The head of the table gave the Samoan werewolf a week to carefully think about his decision. Jacob Fatu picked up a win over Drew McIntyre in an unsanctioned match. Before the Samoan werewolf headed out through the curtain, he had an interaction with Roman Reigns. Speaking to Daniel Cormier after the show, Fatu revealed that Reigns told him to enjoy the moment. Nah, but yesterday it was emotional. It didn't hit me until I actually was getting ready to walk out. I'm so nervous. I seen a couple cats on the way. I seen my big use. I seen the tribal chief Roman Reigns yesterday. Right before I walked out. He still calls me Jake, Jakester Jakey, you know what I mean? So he had to tell me, hey man, calm down. Enjoy the moment, Something that my wife always tells me, but Roman was like, just take it all in. And before I went out, man, being ready, having my gear on and locked in, just thinking about all the tough times, all the struggle, everything to bring me to this moment right here. I mean, come on, I'm very blessed to be in WWE for 2 years and be 2-0 at WrestleMania right out the gate, said Jacob Fatu. H/T, Wrestling Observer. It will be interesting to see what Fatu eventually decides next week. The arena was still buzzing long after the final bell rang. The shockwaves of WrestleMania 42 had barely settled, yet one truth stood taller than the roaring crowd. Roman Reigns was once again at the top of the mountain. The newly crowned World Heavyweight Champion stood in the center of the ring, his chest rising and falling, the title gleaming under the lights. A symbol not just of victory, but of legacy. But this wasn't just about him anymore. As the cameras followed him backstage, a different kind of tension filled the air. It wasn't the chaos of a match or the adrenaline of victory. It was something deeper, something personal. Because waiting in the shadows were two names that carried the same bloodline, the same pride, and the same hunger. Jey Uso and Jacob Fatu. Both champions in their own right. Both Samoan warriors. Both men who had carved their own path outside of Roman's towering shadow. And now, their tribal chief had something to say. The moment that changed everything. Roman didn't rush. He never does. Draped in gold, his presence alone commanded silence. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm, but it carried the weight of generations. You see this? He said, tapping the title on his shoulder. This ain't just mine. This is for the bloodline. For every Samoan who stepped into this business and fought to be seen. The statement wasn't just pride, it was a declaration. For years, Roman Reigns had ruled WWE with an iron will, often demanding loyalty rather than sharing glory. But something had shifted. Maybe it was the battles. Maybe it was the betrayals. Or maybe it was the realization that the bloodline had grown beyond his control. Jey Uso, the right-hand man, no more. When Roman turned his attention to Jey Uso, the atmosphere tightened. Once known as Main Event Jey, he had broken free from Roman's grasp and built a legacy of his own. No longer just the right-hand man, Jey had become a champion who stood on his own merit. Roman's eyes locked onto his cousin. You did what I taught you, Roman admitted. You stepped up. You fought. You became something more. It wasn't quite an apology, but it was the closest thing anyone had ever heard from the tribal chief. Jey didn't smile. He didn't nod. He simply stood there, absorbing the moment. Because deep down, this wasn't just about respect, it was about validation. For years, Jey Uso had lived under Roman's dominance. Every victory felt borrowed. Every spotlight felt shared. But now, standing face to face as equals, champions in their own right, there was a quiet understanding. A bloodline was no longer a hierarchy. It was a battlefield of legacy. Jacob Fatu, the unpredictable enforcer. If Jey represented evolution, Jacob Fatu represented chaos. Roman's tone shifted when he addressed him. "You're dangerous," Roman said bluntly. "You don't follow rules. You don't acknowledge anyone." Fatu smirked, but said nothing. And that silence spoke volumes. Unlike Jey, Jacob Fatu wasn't shaped by Roman Reigns. He wasn't molded, guided, or controlled. He was something else entirely, a force of nature who didn't need permission to dominate. Roman took a step closer. "But you're still blood," he continued, "and whether you like it or not. This," he lifted the title slightly, "this belongs to us." For a split second, it looked like Fatu might respond with violence. The tension crackled. Security shifted uneasily nearby. But instead, Jacob simply tilted his head and laughed under his breath. Because in his eyes, Roman wasn't the head of the table anymore. He was just another man holding a prize. A new era for the bloodline. What unfolded next wasn't scripted. It didn't feel like a promo. It felt like a turning point. 3 men. 3 champions. 1 legacy. Roman stood between them, not above, not below, but among them. "That's what they don't understand," Roman said, almost to himself. "They think this is about one manual." He shook his head slowly. "It never was." That statement alone redefined everything fans thought they knew about the bloodline story. For years, it had been centered around Roman's dominance, his rule, his vision. But now, it was about something bigger: respect, or rivalry. The segment ended without a handshake, without an embrace, without any clear resolution. And that's what made it unforgettable. Because respect doesn't erase history. Jey Uso still carried the scars of Roman's manipulation. Jacob Fatu still burned with a desire to prove himself as the most dangerous man in the family. And Roman still believed he was the standard. The difference? Now, they all had something to prove. What comes next? As WWE moves forward from WrestleMania 42, one thing is certain: this story is far from over. Will Roman Reigns attempt to reunite the bloodline under his leadership? Or has that era officially ended? Will Jey Uso challenge Roman, not out of rebellion, but out of pride? And perhaps most intriguingly, will Jacob Fatu decide that the only way to prove his dominance is by tearing both men down? The possibilities are endless. The final image, the last shot of the night, said it all. Roman Reigns standing with the World Heavyweight Championship. Jey Uso to his left. Jacob Fatu to his right. No words. No movement. Just 3 warriors bound by blood and divided by ambition. In that moment, one thing became clear. The island of relevancy had grown. And now, it might be too small for all of them.